That's right.
Yeah.
And with that note, we're going live. And we are on Facebook right now. Good afternoon, everybody. It is time for another coffee break with DTM. I got my coffee cup. I hope you got yours. And what's today? Tuesday? Wednesday? It's Wednesday, huh? So it's hump day. If you're at the office, you're working and doing things, and then you need a little extra shot of caffeine. I got a special guest today, and we're going to talk to him in a minute. Just remember the word king, and let's get started. So this is the part where I just put this up, and people can hear me, and that's okay.
Dope.
That's all right. And when we come back right now, we're going to have the white shot. There we go. And we're back. So we're looking at that camera right there.
Okay.
I want everybody to say hello. And today we have Joel PE King.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask him what the letters PE stand for.
Joel Patrick Edward King.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Patrick after my uncle and Edward after my father.
Nice.
Yes.
It's like 3 whole names.
I know.
Complete names. Is the Joel part Joseph?
No, just Joel.
Oh, okay. Joel. Oh,
J-O-E-L.
Joel. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Joel, yeah.
That's
There we
nice,
go.
nice.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's but you do J-O-E? Or did I miss?
No,
I
J-O-E-L.
left the L out.
Yeah.
I left that L out.
Uh-huh.
All right, so that's my fault. I'm gonna fix the description of this
okay.
video. Sorry about that. Tell us, Joel, where you're from and what do you do?
I'm originally from East St. Louis metropolitan area. I'm number 7 out of 11 kids. So my mom, my dad, yeah.
Wow.
Raised us all to be fine young people in this good old world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here in Atlanta. Back and forth, I would have resided here for like 5 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm working with Raul Thomas and the Marietta's new theater in the square with a lot of theater projects. And this time they decided to take mine on. Real life and original hip opera.
Nice.
Yes.
And when you say you're so that means that when you say they're taking yours on, they're taking on your play, your writing. What is it?
Yeah. So
what did you make? What is it that you make that they're taking on?
It's the show itself. So Real Life Hip Opera is an original piece that was constructed years ago. You know, 2004 was when I first had the idea, and 2010 is when it first mounted the world, and now we're finally in this space where we can take it from city to city to city.
Oh.
And Atlanta is our one of our stopping points.
Nice.
So it's a huge debut. So it's major that it goes off without a hitch.
So it's has it been shown anywhere else, or this is when it's starting off?
Yes, we've gone to Sarasota, Florida, with the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. They did a 2-week run with an amazing experience with Nate Jacobs and Julie Leach that helped us get that together. We've done it with SIUE, with Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, which is my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing because it was part of their 20th year anniversary of the Black Theater Workshop, and so they brought an alumni to come and represent what the Black Theater Workshop had done since my graduation.
Nice.
And then there was, we actually did it in the prison.
Okay.
In a medium security prison in St. Louis, Missouri.
And the prisoners were the actors?
No.
No? Oh, you brought in actors?
No, we brought in.
That's a lot of rehearsal.
It
right?
was. But it was well received. When I say we got done, it was a standing ovation
Nice.
with the inmates. And then the way they because we had like a talk back, and the responses that they have, like, because one of the through lines in the show is like, hey, we all need to work together to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that, you know, out of the comments that came from the I don't want to call it inmates, but the folks,
audience?
The audience. There we go. There the audience. Right, which were inmates.
There was a captive audience.
Right. There was and they were captivated by that particular theme. My brother was like, you know, we in here right now, but once we get done, when we get out of here, we got to do some things better. And I was like, man, that's good. Right to wrong. Here we are. So yeah, so it's and then it's done in multiple theaters in St. Louis. So again, we're here making this move. I was ready to get it out of St. Louis. I mean, I said it back in 2013 when Andrea Kelly came on board as well as one of the executive producers of the show. It's like, you know what, we can't let it just sit here in St. Louis. You know what I mean? Got to go past this. And when it goes beyond this, then I know that we would have really done what we're supposed to do with the show.
All right, so we're gonna start from the beginning.
Okay.
Because you're giving us a good overview, which is awesome.
Good.
And some people may know you. This is my first time meeting you in person.
No worries.
But I have, because of Dryer Buzz, I have seen some of the buzz.
Yeah.
And so you're a writer. You're a playwright. Is that what you say? A playwright?
Yes, I'm a playwright. I'm a performer. I'm a musician. I am a director. And thankfully enough, I can give it to Raul this time to produce it because I've done that part of it before. And, we were talking about that earlier. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's insanity at its best, brother. I'm like, no.
Yeah. 2 jobs.
Yeah, right.
When you're directing and acting.
It's way much. So I'm glad to just be able to hand over the baton this time.
So you wrote the hip hopera.
I did. I wrote all the lyrics. I did all the musical arrangements. I've had the luxury of working with very fine musicians to help with the orchestration of the instrumental orchestration of it, from a Darren Potts, Keith Fowler, to Brendan Stiles, to now we have Thomas Payton, who is coming in next week with some engineering. He's actually tracking the entire show. This is a young guy, maybe like 22, 23 years old, and dynamic musician, like play the drums, play the keyboard, all that kind of stuff, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. And so you wrote this play.
Yeah.
And you've acted in it.
I have.
And right now you're acting in it, but you gave the director job to somebody else.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
so
no?
This is what
Okay. Somebody is
I gave
producing
the
it.
producing job to someone else. So what's happening is I'm directing the show, and I have a wonderful group, wonderful cast. They're coming in, and they're doing what's necessary to get the show together. I've had some different cast members. Terry Els Kendricks, I got to give a shout out to him, because he comes from St. Louis, and Black Pearl, who's a choreographer. They step in exactly when I need them. I have wonderful stage managers and all that. So. Nice. They are allowing me to see what the picture looks like before I get into place. And so I get into place next week it's at that point when I give the energy over to Tosha Story, who is a celebrity actress and director and coach who's coming in to associate direct, which essentially is help manage the vision, and she comes with a very tough hand, and I love it because she's going to make sure that everything is what it's supposed to be before the people walk into that theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so right now it's at the Square in Marietta, and it's for how long is the performances going to be there?
It's running for 3 weekends.
Okay.
From April the 19th until May the 5th. Now, on the very last weekend, so the first 2 weekends is from Friday into Sunday, and the very last weekend we're from Thursday until Sunday.
Okay, add an extra day.
Yeah.
Tire out the whole cast.
Tire out the entire cast. Come on, bring it on.
Yeah, squeeze everything out of it. I'm sorry, I just had to talk about you.
No, you had to. It's all good. I take it. It's true.
So, all right. So let's start from the beginning a little bit and talk about your upbringing. Because you say you're 7 of 11?
Yeah, 7 of 11.
Number 7.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, my mom, my dad, amazing. May my father rest in peace. He passed away in 2014. And much of what my extra, now my grandmother, my 2 angels that are cleverly watching over me. I say that because there's some things that have been put together since my father's passing that have just been awakening to so many things. So, but yeah, 7 of 11, grew up, I don't want to say but I would say it started out lower middle class. My dad and my mom, there were 8 kids at this time living in a 2-bedroom home.
Wow.
And then my dad was getting a new house together for us, 1448. And so this was a bit of a tragic experience because my oldest sister, she passed away. So she was in a car accident when she was 7. She was physically, mentally impaired until she was 13. 13, she had a seizure, had fallen out the bed, and, lost breath. Father picked her up, last breath was in his arms. And I mentioned this story because as I was growing up, I was a bit detached from my father emotionally. loved the man that was the disciplinary, was the protector, the provider of the home, but I didn't understand the emotional aspect of it. So I was 7 years old when I actually learned about my oldest sister. And it wasn't until I got to middle school to where I started to understand what was really going on with my father. You know, he had pretty much detached himself emotionally from the family, you know, until those latter years to where he opened up and became, because he never stopped being dad. He just stopped, that love energy was not always at the forefront, you know, of preserving the life of the family.
I imagine that he had to channel that energy to provide.
Yeah, indeed. And that's what happened. He was working all the time, 3-4 jobs at a time. That's even when people talk about, Joel, where do you get that particular work ethic? It was instilled in me. I don't know any other way.
Right.
You know, and thankful enough that my makeup supports what I saw growing up, so now I'm able to do that. So yeah, and very religious family. You know, my cousin and my uncle, they were gospel recording artists, so we also sang with them. So it was another inspiration on top of that, you know.
And you had a creative outlet.
Indeed, yeah. And then in school, you know, when the public school system was operating in a stronger fashion, I want to put that out there. I want to talk about any educators.
Because you want to do a performance there.
Right,
so
well,
you don't want to say that?
Well, I'm just saying, they did more stuff back then.
Right.
There were more, you know, they talk about the, wondering why a lot of the youth are doing what they're doing because there aren't activities, you know, not legitimate activities.
The school was more involved in the community.
It was
like a playground for the community.
Right. You know, PTA meetings, there were actually parents at the PTA meetings. I don't even know if they had that anymore. So it's just like those things that kept the structure of community, faith, and family. Those were real back in the, and I'm only 38 years old. Come on now. You're like, I'm not far from all that. But somehow within that decade of time, something switched, brother. And it's just not what it used to be. And hopefully with shows like Real Life, that we're hoping we're creating, we're putting out a message that creates that kind of energy and synergy. Because I think people know to do it or want to do it, but they just don't know how necessary it is right now. And so but I had great, you know, public school systems. I'm learning myself as an artist first. I'm a visual artist. Yeah. And so I got into like a lot of drawing programs and things like that.
I was going to ask about that. Growing up in the school that you have, what was your first creative experience? You mentioned gospel singing.
Gospel, yeah.
What else?
But that was not my first though. It was visual artist. Being a visual artist, I was working with one of my older sisters, and she sat down and was drawing, and then I just sat down and did what she was doing. Not knowing it was anything special, you know what I mean? This is what people do. You draw what you see, you know? And so then coming from that, I learned myself as a writer. No, I learned myself as a singer because now mom is putting us in the youth and young adult choir and all of that stuff. Mind you, with my art, I was like going to different competitions and placing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it was awesome. They were really finding a way to hone that gift. So then I was learning that our son is a singer too. Okay, he wants to get involved in that. Okay, we want to push that forward. And then learning that when they were bringing the different people in from recording artists in from the church, there was this lady, Renee Thomas, wonderful woman. And so she brought another professional outlet to the body as well. So now we are like, okay, learning about stage plays and all this. Oh, man, this is cool. So I started developing my own stage plays by age 12.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'm learning this part. Then when I was between 12 and 14, I learned I could actually sing not just gospel music, but I could sing classical music. So I'm a bit of an opera singer too.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is cool. So we doing this.
Yeah.
But it was weird as heck, man, when it first happened. Because I'm in East St. Louis public school system talking about Ave Maria, brother. They ain't trying to. You know, so I did that, and then my first song, "Bomb in the Gilead," dude. I don't know what made me do this for the classroom talent show. Like, Joel, what are you doing, brother? So anyway, I did that, learned myself in that way, and then I got this itch, and I want to act as well. But again, all that was inspired from the public school system. They had like different performers coming in and out. Dunbar Elementary, Clark Junior High, and Lincoln. Then we had all these wonderful examples. Joan Brown, who was you know, people wonder why my teaching is like the way it is. Like, man, you so specific and critical, because that's what I grew up. I don't know no other way.
But isn't St. Louis a big musical city?
It is a big musical city. Yeah,
and
historically.
Traditionally,
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? A lot of things have fallen by the wayside. You know what I'm saying? Because what has happened is that, and it's not, and I'm learning why it's like that. A lot of great musicians are birthed out of St. Louis, but it's hard to stay in St. Louis.
All right.
Yeah, because we reach like a wall. So once we get to that wall, like, what do we do after that? Somebody got to climb over this thing, because I'm learning that there's other things beyond that. Right. Yeah.
The world has bigger opportunities
indeed
for these artists than the city itself.
Yeah, indeed.
I guess it needs to learn like Nashville, where they cultivate and then they kind of open the doors to the world.
Yeah, and you know, and they're learning how to do that more. I'm currently like one of the resident artists in St. Louis, one of resident theater companies, let me say that, that's working out of the Kransberg Arts Foundation, where they're getting it, you know what I mean? They're taking all these different artists who don't exactly have the capital to support building or showcasing quality theater and things like that all the time. Well, let's make it easy for them to do what they do, because it's not like they don't have like the ability to do so, they just don't have the capital to do so. So let's ease this burden and see what we can do, and we've been able to produce a lot of magic in St. Louis because of that.
That's nice. So tell us, and so as a 12-year-old, you were already writing screenplays.
Stage plays.
Stage plays.
Yes.
They're called stage plays. And so did you envision the stage and the actors and their each character and their script, or what do you call it? The script, right?
Script, right, yeah. You know what? Interesting enough, like I did, but what I'm learning about myself, my eye is more cinematic than it is for stage. But because of that cinematography brain that I have, it's all about pictures, which makes the live theatrical experience that much more inviting, because it's all about the angles and positioning and what are we doing, how is this reading, before anything else. So but now I saw it, and crazy enough, I caught this vision. Don't laugh at me when I tell you the outfit that I had on.
I'm gonna laugh now.
Because this was cool back in the day. Back in the 80s, this was cool. In the 90s, this was cool. But no, I had like the Bill Cosby sweater, one of those on. Like
you still got one now.
Nope. That means it's coming true.
It's solid color though. Right. It's solid color.
It was a true Bill Cosby sweater. I mean, one with all the extra thread and knits and things like that going on. I had a pair of slacks and some cowboy boots.
Oh, right.
And I saw myself standing before a large group of people, and in that particular time, it was more like the clearest example was my church, because it could seat like 1,200 people. And I saw myself just standing before them and said, well, this is what's about to happen. So I'm about to become this producer, director guy, I guess. And let's see what's, and more producer, writer. I didn't know myself as a director until college.
Right.
Yeah.
But so your whole path so far has been to learn those different parts.
Indeed.
And take practice and training.
Oh, yeah.
So that it can get you to fully realize what your vision is and what the eye can see.
Indeed. I mean, even when I was in college, I intentionally, because I already had the gospel roots, I knew what they was talking about. So I'm like, okay, I'm classically trained at this point. I want to learn some more jazz. Let me do that. So I want to get all this stuff. And then, crazy enough, I silenced myself from a lot of radio and even like now when I'm driving the car, I don't listen to the radio, because I don't want things clouding my vision and people talking about that's my music. No, it's not. So I was, because
you have a clear idea of what you want to see.
Indeed.
And you don't want extra add-ons that are gonna.
Indeed.
Because you already have a shape.
I have a shape,
mind,
right. But then, I got to say this too. As I got older, I realized the benefit of that ear too. Because there are some stagnant moments that we have as artists. So we look for inspirations. Not that I'm trying to steal. I just need to be inspired. I'm stuck. Something else. You know what I mean? So so I build it from those particular places as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your professional development.
Yes.
All right. And the discipline that you had to have.
Yes.
And we're gonna jump right into that in a second.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, I want to give a big shot to the set that we're in. We're in Cinamaker Studios.
Dope,
This is
yeah.
we're using Cinamaker app to show you all the different angles, so that when I'm talking to Joel and I am speaking, we have a different shot for a different moment.
Yes.
I got the cinematic eye too.
Look,
I'm
he
getting
does.
there.
He does.
I'm getting there. I'm gonna get the boots next. That's what I'm gonna do.
The shoe cam.
Yeah, you got it, baby. That's good. That's clean right there. So that's all. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Cinamaker and access that they give us to provide you with a coffee break with DTM. And don't forget to check out Joel PE King. And what is the stage play?
Real life hip opera,
That's
an
right.
original hip opera at Marietta's new theater in the square.
Nice, nice.
Yes, go to theaterinthesquare.net, theater, theatre, in the square.net, and get your tickets today.
That's right. Get them today because it's only for a few weekends.
Yes.
So so that's all. I just wanted to take a break into with Cinamaker and providing us a space. They're a
Awesome.
major sponsor.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we got Cinamaker back here.
Dope.
Big ups. All right, so let's talk about.
I'm getting an app. I'm getting that app.
That's right.
Yeah.
You already got it on your iPad.
Yeah.
Now it's on some iPhones. Time for some iPhones.
Thanks, brother.
Yes. Okay. So the discipline. You know, I'm sure that it's not been an easy task to pull that vision out of your head.
Indeed.
And I tell this to artists all the time. I demand that they write out stuff.
Indeed. Yes.
So tell us about your path on trying to be disciplined and put it out in paper that you can then create the representation in real life with
Gotcha.
other collaborators.
You know, let me say this so I won't get in trouble by Dry Buzz. Real life, I am real life, okay? and with that, that has become my discipline. Real life has become my discipline for so many different reasons, because since its inception, I had to learn how to kind of meter or measure my moments in actual real life. You know, and not knowing that those were moments, and people, my friends now, it's a running joke, don't do anything, say anything in front of Joel. It made it up on paper. So,
It's going to make it to the stage.
it made it back to the stage. One of my friends, she swear by God that I took her story and put it on stage about her and her foreign husband. I didn't. Anyway, I was inspired.
Inspired by
But yeah, I had to learn, you know, when I got out of college, my friend and I, Tan Moore, we had this notion that we're about to get out of college and we're going to make some money. So we said, let's just start producing plays. And so from that, and not, again, I had all these great teachings from, you know, from my youth, you know what I mean? And now in college.
And what was your college degree about? What was
My college
Where'd you
degree
go?
was a mixed discipline because I had, I went to school initially for art and design with drawing and ceramics concentration.
Okay.
And then my theater, I did the Black Theater Workshop founded by Lisa Colbert-Bandelli, who pulled me to this, she and Bill Gribner, who was also a college professor at the time. After I had done it, they said, "Are you a theater major?" I was like, "No, I'm an art and design major." I was like, "Well, brother, we think you need to consider being a theater major." "No, I'm already doing art design, but that's already done." And I was a music minor at the time as well. They said it's only 5 classes. I said, 5 classes? And another accomplishment to put on my, heck yeah, yes. Let's go ahead and do this. So so that's how that thing started, and being under that kind of tutelage, you know, it just supported, again, what I had been already set up to do. And then they gave me more ideas of how to make this thing happen. They were well connected with the St. Louis theater community. So I had, coming out of high school, I had my first professional theater experience with the St. Louis Opera Theater, you know.
But
And
you were out there searching for this stuff. They weren't knocking on your door, dragging you out of your bedroom, say, "Hey, you should do a stage stuff." Right?
You know what?
You were out talking to people, teachers, somebody.
Indeed,
right?
yeah. So so what happened with that was like I had my teachers and mentors and my church leaders and things like that. Like, Joel, you got something in you. It was a running thing that I kept hearing, and and now it took me until I'm 38 years old to really own this word because it felt like kind of pretentious to say this, but people kept saying, you got something special about you, kid, something special about you, kid. I'm like, what exactly does this mean? I'm like, you know what I mean?
You got the it. You got it.
Yeah, you got the it thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, what y'all talking about? So then my mom, she and my dad had a running thing because she said, mom favored me, whatever, and my dad was like, no, you just like that kid because he had a big head and you think he's going to be a preacher. There it is. So I said, no, I'm not a preacher, a pulpit preacher, but I'm a preacher in a different way. You know what I mean? So now,
so you found opportunities in high school. You went to college, and then you and your friend are like, we're gonna be pros.
We're gonna be pros. We're gonna do this thing right. So because we knew what we had come from, so we're gonna set our foundation built on this, and it was called Oxca Productions. I forgot what that meant, but
all right.
Yeah. So we built this thing, and then she later moved to LA, and then I started JPEG Creative Works Theater, and so again, and then it's so crazy because when the culture of St. Louis is. We're trying to reshape it, right? Because here we are, it's similar to Atlanta, but not so much. Thank God that Hollywood and stuff like that is moving into Atlanta, and they're becoming more opportunities for artists because that discipline is an ongoing thing. And also I've learned it's circumstantial as well because what happens is if my circumstances dictate that I need to be at home with my kids and stuff like this during this time, all that artistic stuff is cute, but it ain't special right now because I got to make sure I got a roof over my head.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what happens as a result of that is that we lose something in that, because it takes time, it takes money, it takes energy, being able to produce quality work. It takes you going home doing some homework, but if all of that is always overtaken or you're overwhelmed by everyday life, then you can't rise to the occasion, be the artist that you're saying that you are, And so I came here so that happened a lot in St. Louis, just trying to do that. And then what was weird, and I will tell the folks, I've had some wonderful talents to come through JPEG Creative Works, like amazing people. And some people who understood the discipline right away, and some people who did not. And what I would share with them, I was like, you guys, before I became Joel, the director-producer, performer, I was Joel accounting intern. I was Joel human resource intern. I was Joel, office manager intern, for law firms and trucking companies and hospitals. So I understand how this works corporately. And a lot of this is not how it works, y'all. We can't continue to allow our feelings to infiltrate this work environment because if it's not logical or it's not progressive, then it's keeping us we're not forward moving,
right.
And so that became a very ongoing conversation. And again, I understand. I said, this is a culture. It's hard for you all to understand what I'm trying to give you at times, collectively. So I came here to Atlanta to hopefully experience a different dynamic, which I'm learning that there are still pieces of that's following because Atlanta is still not exactly there, but they're reshaping themselves. However, they are learning the professional discipline. If you're not going to be there, let people know all your conflicts right ahead. And ahead of time. Give people, communicate. Just communicate. Because we can get over it if we know how to plan before everybody else gets there.
Give us enough time to put Plan B into motion.
Indeed, and you know what? My dad was he was crazy disciplined.
Was he in the military or anything?
He was in the military before he was discharged. But no, he was discharged because of diabetes and things like that.
But that's the mentality he had.
No, he was crazy.
When he sees a long list of kids he had, those were his troops.
He gone away, so y'all can't put him lock him up. So my dad, back in the day when he used to discipline us, if we had got in trouble, he was like, come here. And we're like, bah. And then we walk away. I'm like, brother, that's not right. But he was crazy. So when he had like his he would teach music. He was a musical director, and then alto sopranos, tenors. Altos sing, tenors sing, soprano, sing, everybody. All right, it's all that. It was intense. It was intense.
Right.
So I got a little bit of that, but just with a bit of my mom to kind of calm that down.
There you go. That's right. Well, being 7, in your list of brothers and sisters,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you have to learn to communicate
Indeed.
so that you can stand out.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And that's what you bring today now.
Yes.
You're here, and you're mentioning that Atlanta and Hollywood is working together.
Yeah.
And so that gives us all a more opportunity.
Indeed.
But we have to be disciplined. We
Indeed.
have to bring in that energy.
Indeed.
We have to want that top quality product.
Indeed.
And that's what's gonna put us on the map.
I don't think people. I'm glad to be again. The people are learning to understand that. Like this stuff, you don't wake up and all of a sudden the success is just at your lap. You know, you got to work at it.
Yeah.
And if it's at your lap, you got to still work to keep it. That's
right.
still a discipline in that.
You got to show and prove that.
You got to show and prove it. You know what I mean? Tyler Perry was not Tyler Perry just because he just woke up. This brother, he worked that thing. You know, I had an opportunity to meet him back in 2004, and God, you know what I mean? Because of my upbringing, it's because of my discipline. While the man was, you know, he had come there to see us, right? But he was off to the side chilling or whatever, and because I'm like, again, my discipline saying when people are in their zone, you let them have their zone.
They gotta work.
We had gone out and everything. Like they had like shut down the place for us, and we were all having a good time. And not once did I go over there and to make conversation with that brother. So hopefully, this Atlanta debuting of the show can open up an opportunity to communicate with him in that way as well again.
And it also will speak about your power.
Oh yeah.
If when that happens, because now
Yeah.
you've done stuff
Indeed.
that you can then talk about.
Yeah.
Instead of being a crazy fan, having dinner and a drink.
Thanks for helping me. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Put things into perspective.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've got counsel.
That's right. I was in the set of Tyler Perry's when he was in what is that spot Southwest Atlanta area that he had over there? I forget the Greenbrier. I forget. Maybe. Yeah. What's in the It's in the Greenbrier.
At Fort Mac.
In the what?
The Fort McPherson?
Not that Fort McPherson, but before.
Oh, Lakewood.
Is it Lakewood?
Yeah.
No, before that. It was over there off of 285 in Southwest Atlanta by that mall, that old mall, Greenbrier.
That's Greenbrier.
That's Greenbrier. Yeah, that's where he was. And so it was years ago, and I was on the set. I do extra acting.
Oh, all right.
Don't give me any lines.
All right.
Just let me come on the set, look a little mean,
Okay, gotcha.
shake somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And he was on the set telling us what to do, and nothing but green screen everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere. And then when I saw the show, I was like, whoa, we're in the neighborhood.
All right.
Like, we're in the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
ain't that crazy? It's crazy how
It's
that works.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. So let's now talk a little bit about this play. So you've been thinking about this play. You've been writing it. How long? You told us a little bit how long you've been thinking about it and how long it took you to write it. And you said 2010? You
Yeah,
had it?
2004, real life that's when the official moment happened, and honestly, it was inspired by, I was a public school educator back in the day, substitute teaching in some permanent spots, but there was when I was camp counselor first, when a young guy came up to me and said, when we were in conversation, I was trying to discipline them and get them together because we were on a field trip and they were just like acting all crazy, whatever. So then I asked them raised the question of what keeps you all connected to the ghetto, this idea, whatever, because they were speaking all this street jargon, whatever. So the brother says to me, 11 years old, I'm never leaving the ghetto because if I leave the ghetto, I'll be selling out to my community. That's so profound for an 11-year-old young man to say that. And then when I was teaching this one day in class, this young lady burst out in class, said, I'm going to kill my father because he raped me. And the thing that was the most stunning of that moment was because after she said that, the room did not skip a beat. There was no moment of pause, no nothing. So I'm like, we have become immune to these type of deviances, you know? And so with that in mind, I'm like, pen to paper, how do I start to like write what's happening, you know? And honestly, this was like this phenomenal epidemic that came with police brutality. You know what I mean? How it just became just all over the news. Maybe the whole pre-Rodney King thing, I don't know. But during that time, I wish I could get the dates when he. But anyway, I started.
Ronnie King.
Yeah.
Like 93, 94.
93, yeah. So
Yeah.
apparently apparently that messaging has been implanted into me because this didn't happen to 2004. But I started writing this rhetoric because again, I'm hearing what is debilitating the idea of people of as far as success with people of color. And I'm like, how do we explain this? Like we need to help explain this. Now we got to cure it. So Real Life was birthed out of that, like birthed out of how do I cure the crisis, this epidemic of the fatality of Black America. How do I help this? And so I continue to write. I continue to be inspired. 2010 is when we first put it up, and it was a great success. We were making like headlines in multiple newspapers and things like that. So it became the talk of the town. We had promoters that were interested in putting it on its feet, taking it across cities and things like that, but that never materialized, and that was just everything for later. But so then, interesting enough, came Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and all of this. So these were details that were already put into the story. But how do I heighten this? Because this is the conversation that's still going on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So so then I have what we have today. Because again, my thing was like, I got to get into the brain, of my brother, my oldest brother, who was my character study as far as the main character, Ray. What causes this idea that this is more acceptable, or I'll be more accepting in this particular environment versus this environment? And then one of my quotes is like, no one has to work that hard for acceptance. You just got to find the right group. You know what I mean? Or just position yourself, put yourself in the right place. It's about placement. Yeah. But what happens is we get so inundated with the idea of who we're supposed to be, who people tell us we are, opposed to who we believe, the true belief of who we are from the very beginning. Right. Like I knew that there was something artistic in me from the very beginning. I knew there are a lot of things that a lot of truth, that about me that I couldn't. Because I remember my mom, and God bless her, and she probably don't even remember she said this to me, but after she had come to see me perform one time, and this particular show, I was using a lot of abrasive language, profanity, and it took her. I mean, all I heard when it happened was ah, and buried herself in the seat. And then when I asked her to, why, Mom, what happened? Give me a hug, whatever. After the show, she was not about it. She had worn her good Sunday's best, baby. She was ready. But she said, Joel, I thought you were about to get up and sing a Negro spiritual, and then those words came out your mouth. And then so later on the college campus, I remember like it was yesterday, we were sitting in the car, and I remember her telling me, Joel, I don't know if this is the life that I want for you, because because I worry about your nieces and your nephews coming to see you and seeing that example of who you are. And it was my dad who kind of helped her level out and understand, Roz, he's just playing a character. He's just playing a character. He's just playing a character. And I say that to say, when I just recently did this show at SIUE, my mom, who was careful of my coming into this stage of who I am, was saying, like, she was one who left the theater, said, brother, my son, if there was an opportunity to give you an Oscar performance, I would have given it to you that night. And that's emotion for me right now, because that, man, it broke some things for me. It completely broke some things. So, and she and I never discussed this with her. So if she's watching, this is, hey mom, there it is. But that's one of the things that with real life and the story, we have these moments where we are debilitated as humans, because some life circumstance happened, trauma happened, and that was completely out of our control. And now we have the opportunity to kind of control the narrative. And if we don't have anything to connect the dots, we don't have true direction. Yeah. If the very people that you were relying on to help kind of lead you, guide you. These are the ones who are abandoning you. What do you have? So that's what, this whole epidemic is not out, it's created out of circumstance. It doesn't excuse it, but at least helps us understand it, because if we have an understanding, then we know how to cure the crisis.
Right.
These brothers out here, I've heard when we did the show the very first time around, a lot of these young folks are doing things because they don't feel as if there's another choice.
Right. Yeah.
So now we have a responsibility to show that there are other choices, not to coddle, not to excuse bad habits or bad performances or deviant acts or any of that thing, but to help understand and raise something else, because you got to know that there's more to you than what's in front of you. But if no one ever introduces you to that other side, then what do you have to depend on?
And that's your spot, is to have that conversation.
Have that conversation.
Start that somehow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to connect back with different energies, like love energy, family, faith, community. At the end of the day, that's the nucleus of our survival. I don't care what anybody, no one can do this alone.
Yeah.
You're doing all this alone.
Right.
But,
but I ain't doing it by myself.
But you ain't doing it by yourself.
That's right. I got here through the help of other people along the way. Correct.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, your sponsors, you know what I'm saying? It's birthed out of something. It's a community.
That's right.
And if we don't understand that initiative or that use it as our motivation, we'll continue to fall.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to build those bridges.
Yeah.
We have to be the ones to reach out and get that going.
Indeed.
And that's why I mentioned that earlier when you say you had those internships and opportunities and so on. It's like that nobody came to your house and grabbed you out your room
Indeed,
and said, come on, let's do this.
Right.
I mean, it might be your parents so you get out the house, but, nobody says, hey, we see the talent through your window and come on out. You have to get out there and you have to engage and you have to build out.
Yeah.
So the microphone's too low. It's okay. Listening. My cup. I should sip on my cup. Okay. So that's it. That's what I hear, and that's what I like to point that out, because when I have these conversations, and the purpose of my interviews is to hear that that inner ambition come out and play out with actionable items that all of us can listen to and hear and be like, oh snap, he did it that way, he did it this way. Then I'm not too far off.
Indeed.
I just need to take a step.
Indeed.
I need to take a couple of steps in the direction that's going to get me to become like him one day.
Indeed.
So that's it.
And faith is so wonderful in the sense, because God gives these little sprinkles of you're on the right track. You know what I mean? Because you end up sitting and talking with some of these leaders, these people you inspire or aspire to be, and then you hear their stories like, man, that's the same path that I'm walking.
Right.
Right. So it's just keep going.
That's
Keep
right.
going.
But we need to hear those success stories
Indeed.
or in progress stories, because I heard that, you said that this is a nationwide tour that's going to be going on. Yolanda was telling me is headed to Broadway.
Yeah.
You have to have those visions
Yeah.
and those goals. And if you hear somebody's story like yourself, then it will energize the next person and the next person. Yeah. That's good. I love it, man.
Yeah, real life is my labor of love, man.
Real life.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's the life we're living.
It's
real.
Come on now.
It's real. I'm going to give another shout out to Cinamaker. Big ups to Sketchable. Check out DeltaTangoMike anywhere on the internet. Check out Joel PE King.
Yes, sir.
And your other is Real Life Hip Hopera.
Yes.
That's on your social medias.
Yes, it is.
And want to thank everybody for being here today. We can go on all day because I can listen to this story all day, and I wanted you to tell me more about the plane, what's it, and all the little pieces. But we encourage you to go check it out in person.
Yes.
Go see it, feel it, watch it, and get involved.
Yes, it's something for everyone. Something for everyone. You definitely will not come to the theater and leave empty.
Right.
It's there to fill you up.
Okay. So one more question I'm
Yes.
going to ask you. As I look over here and I click on different things, because this is the Cinamaker app on iPad.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm switching back and forth and so on. So I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Last question of the day.
Yes, sir.
When you first, in 2010, when you saw the script,
Yes.
finalizing the final edits or so on, what kind of advice would you give that Joel, from this Joel to that Joel?
The biggest advice I would give to that Joel it was not until this moment when I was sitting down talking with the promoter, and she said, "What is the one thing that you need?" And it was like, "What is you? I need to just be able to. I need finances." And she said, "No, what you need is a team. You need a team. You need a marketing team. You need an editing team. You need a team of people that can help put this thing together and help materialize it in a way that's beyond your own understanding." And I think that's the biggest thing. I would say, Joel, just get your team, and not just friends or people that are like fun to be around or whatever, but some professional, insightful, prolific people. Don't be. Make sure there are multiple smart people in the room that not only understand it professionally, but they need to understand you personally. Because if they do both, then the vision always stays aligned. But if one tries to get ahead of the other, then you find yourself, it's friction all the time. But the beauty is when it all comes together, and you'll know it when it comes. You'll know it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Super talented.
Thank you,
Hope
brother.
to see you some more around. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Follow all on the internets. Joel PE King,
Yes.
the real hip hopera,
Real life.
real life hip hopera,
And original hip hopera.
the original hip hopera. DeltaTangoMike. Thank you for Dryer Buzz for making this connection. Check her out in the kitchen with Dryer Buzz. We're gonna have to visit that kitchen.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And we'll see you around. Cinamaker app, Sketchable app. Thank you, everybody. See y'all later. Peace out.
Peace.